I've been told by quite a few people on the production team that yes, you are going solo, and this is the first time you've spoken to anyone since you've gone solo, but your record company says, no, Police still exist. He's going solo as well as maintaining his record career with Police.
We formed the band The Police. Is this the first time you attempt to write your own songs?
Oh, no. I've been writing my songs since I was a kid. I don't know why I had this idea. Maybe the Beatles.
Yeah, of course.
Gave me that idea that I could write songs. I'm not sure how good they were, but at the age of 10, 11, I was writing.
Was punk more of a buzz for you? I mean, the late 70s, did you really respond to that, or did you just see it as an avenue?
I responded to the energy and the way that, because everything had become seized up, these sort of monolithic pop groups, and everything else was just shut out.
Yeah.
I felt a great kinship with the bands that wanted to destroy that stuff.
What punks did, what the Sex Pistols did, was to kick down a lot of the doors that the establishment or the industry had put up. It was impossible for a new band to get a recording contract or be heard until that explosion in London in '77, which is where I was at the time.
That was, we flew the flag of punk to get in through the door, and then we became ourselves.
Added to that, there was a sophistication in the way we played, the way we wrote songs. I think we were older than a lot of punk bands. We had more musical experience, and so it was a good crossover for us. We had this energy, this great violent energy, plus this sophistication. I think that's what did it.
What was it you think that made The Police click? I think we were a three-piece group, and that has an inbuilt limitation. You're just three people. You can't really compete with a larger band that has keyboards and, you know, horn sections and lots of singers. And we started to leave lots of space in the music, lots of holes, because we couldn't fill it. But we made a point of that, and I think that spare kind of skeletal approach made any record we made stick out.
The rest of the Police guys, they wait for you to write these songs.
They do.
Do they start to get resentful that you're the writer, that you're the front man?
Yeah, I was like the cuckoo in the nest, you know. They didn't really know what they were taking on.
Yeah, because you become more and more important because you're the songwriter.
I'm the singer, I'm the songwriter, and I'd had many years of experience as a songwriter, so I had a whole catalog of songs that I'd never used in the public domain, if you like.
Oh, it's definitely a collaboration.
Yeah.
But, you know, a very hard-fought collaboration. And I think part of the energy of the band was this constant tension between the three egos, which worked.
Yeah.
It worked for that amount of time, and the music reflects that tension.
Did you ever imagine it would go where it went? I mean, to the level that it went to?
Yeah, we did. It's, I don't know what gave us this confidence, this total arrogance that we would actually make it. When we were, no one knew us and no one wanted to know us. But we had this idea that we were going to make it.
Yeah.
And I think that that burning desire and that burning ambition just carried us forward. We gave us momentum. Yeah, we had no idea that we would fail.
I enjoy the fun of being on the charts, the fun of trying to beat the other groups. And in that sense, the commercialism of it I like. And I also enjoy trying to figure out, when writing songs, what will sell. It's interesting too. What sort of song will sell to millions of people?
It wasn't commercially created by some entrepreneur in the sky. It was our idea, and we wanted to play music. However, we are a very commercial group. It just happens to be the music we like playing is very commercial at the moment, and that's an accident of history and fashion.
It is an accident, I swear this. That it is also pleasing to a vast number of people. It's a continuing source of amusement and pleasure to me that this happens. But I write songs to please myself. The band plays to please itself. If there were no one out there, we'd still be playing. We'd still be playing in some front room. The fact that 15, 16, 100,000 people, we still have goals that are beyond our reach. We still have those. You know? Without those, there'd be no group. The group would stop when we've achieved all of our goals, but there's always something else to go for.
The unfortunate thing is that I've set up this paradox.
Yeah.
I'm one step removed again from it because I'm alone on the stage and they're all together.
Yeah, right.
So in a sense, you pay for that.
Yeah. Do you feel alone on the stage? You do. Don't you get force or strength from all the...
I get a great feeling of satisfaction from having set this process up.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm there alone and they're out there.
It's partly a function of being 26. I wasn't 18, I wasn't 19. I mean, that kind of success at that age is very dangerous because it passes very quickly, and then you reach the grand old age of 22, and what do you do? I'd at least developed as an adult before any of this happened, and still, I still fell foul of the traps, you know. I mean, and you know, all of the crutches are there waiting for you, you know, drugs and alcohol and women and everything else, you know.
And that sort of meteoric rise that we had was very difficult. And I think we all became sort of casualties of that success and the pressure. God, the pressure.
I mean, did you feel threatened by the success at some stages? Because it must be an overwhelming feeling of sort of power and just being knocked off your feet.
I know that the most successful period of my life was probably in the early 80s. It was also the most unhappy period of my life.
Well, it's a bit of a rock and roll cliche, isn't it? You become successful, and then you're the biggest thing since sliced bread, and then you become a dissolute wreck. I think we've all had a go at it. We've all tried it out for size, you know. I mean, largely because you think that I need to be in some kind of crisis, some kind of mental trouble to create good songs, you know.
Did you think that at the time?
I think so. I subscribed to that idea that you had to live some kind of dissolute life and be on the edge all the time. And so I manufactured those situations where I thought I could write songs, and I did.
It worked.
I wrote some good songs in that period. Do I want to do that again? No, I really don't.
Gallons and gallons of money and success and adulation. And yet my life was crumbling around me. My marriage was falling apart. My personality was falling apart. My relationship with the other members of the band was falling apart. And this was the most successful time. We were absolutely, coining it.
You say something like, all rock bands are really just like adolescent gangs.
I think most bands start, among groups of male teenagers. I think it's very hard to sustain that group identity when you're over 40, over 35 even. It's very difficult. You have to stop pretending,
Bands tend to be, young men, a gang. And I found myself, the older I got, less and less willing to be a member of the gang, and the songs I wrote reflected it less and less.
You don't want to be in a street gang for the rest of your life. Right. You can't mature, you can't explore. You have to be stuck with this regiment of 3 people, say.
I don't need to bond with my male friends anymore. I don't need to pretend that we're in this buddy gang. So I prefer to be identified or defined on my own, rather than as a band or in a group.
I found that a terrific strain to be wanting to write in a certain way, with a certain freedom, and yet having to deal with this group consciousness, You
want to get out of the music business. You want to be an actor, is that right?
No, that's not true. I don't want to get out of the music business. I want to expand the music business into a larger media.
I've been told by quite a few people in the production team that yes, you are going solo, and this is the first time you've spoken to anyone since you've gone solo, but your record company says, no, Police still exist. He's going solo as well as maintaining his record career with Police.
Do you expect to be retiring shortly?
Yes, about 6 months.
Why is that?
I've said it all now.
In the interview that you did in New York the day after the Madison Square Garden concert, they more or less said that you were going to sort of not quit the group, but spend a fair time away from the group. Well, this article said this. And said
the thing is quitting the group, it's I'm quitting the group.
Oh, right, and you were going to go into a film career.
Actually, all 3 of us are quitting the group. Well, wait a minute. One of us, I'm quitting first.
Got to stay first.
I'm quitting first.
If I had to quit right now.
I'm kidding. I'd like to go on as long as possible, but I mean, there's a finite limit to how long a band lasts. I'm very aware of how transient the whole thing is. And in 6 months' time, indeed, we could be.
Well, I mean, I think it's a very old-fashioned idea that one band should stay together forever. It's equally old-fashioned to assume that as soon as bands don't record that they've broken up. We're having what's called a hiatus, where we're deciding what to do next.
We were together 7 years, and then I got the 7-year itch and decided to follow my instincts to splash out on my own, you know, but against all logic. Everyone was saying, you're crazy, you're the biggest band in the world, you're making all this money.
Everybody killed to get to the point where you were.
Everybody loves you, now you want to leave? Yes, I want to leave. I want to begin again and sort of carve out another niche for myself.
The Synchronicity album was the last album the Police recorded together. Is that correct?
That's true.
And you did your last tour together. Did the record company think that you guys, and did your management and everything think you guys were out of your minds to break up at that point? Because this album, Synchronicity, sold a lot of albums. You were on top of the world. That decision to do a tour and then break up, was that your decision alone?
I knew that at the time of Synchronicity, we had reached a point of almost, it was as good as we could get. You know, we just filled Shea Stadium. After Shea Stadium, we all sat down and said, well, this is it. You don't get any bigger than this. We could do this again, but it'll never have this feeling. And we've come as far as we possibly can. Do we want to just carry on in this, or should we stop? And we said, okay, we'll stop. A very odd logic to it, but we stopped at the top, and I suppose there's a myth about us that remains because we did that. And the momentum of the place allowed me to carry on being who I am. But I think it was the right decision to make.
We didn't officially break up, Howard.
Right.
You're still together?
I just thought it was time that I exercised my right to make a solo album, as the others had done.
Right.
And then that was a massive hit.
I suppose that the first solo album I did, so-called solo album, although I did it with other people, was really about having the freedom to put any song I liked on the record without going through this committee stage that bands always have to go through, you know.
I just wanted a broader palette because I was song-driven and not necessarily band-driven. Right. So I then started to form bands which could play whatever I wanted to write. So the first album that I did without the Police was with Branford and Kenny Kirkland and...
Do you prefer having a solo career than being in a band?
Well, I'm still in a band, you know. I have my own band. I was in a band called The Police from 1977 to 1983. And we used to fight a lot because that's the kind of people we were. And now I'm in a band, we don't fight very much at all. We all get on and it's fun. So I enjoy being in a band.
There is a band that went out at the top, and how few bands go out at their peak. Is that satisfying? It has to be.
Yeah.
Do you think about that?
My instinct was that we'd achieved everything we could possibly have thought to achieve, tenfold, 100-fold. After that, you get diminishing returns of satisfaction. So I needed to take another risk with my life. And of course I had momentum because of the success of the Police. Whatever I did next, people would be at least curious. Mm-hmm. And so I used that momentum to kind of boost me into another career, but it was a risk. But I think art is always about taking a risk. If you're not taking a risk, you're not doing it.
I define success personally as the ability to go on to the next stage or to keep making records or to keep evolving. That's what success was to me. It wasn't having a big house or a swimming pool or a big car.
No. There is a certain liberation in being a solo artist, right? Maybe when you're a younger man, you needed a family, a musical family, because you didn't have a family growing up. Your parents were divorced.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true, and I'm very grateful for that musical family. They were a great band. I'm extremely fond of them and respect them and love them and grateful for them.
Right.
But I needed to spread my wings, you know. I needed a different set of colors to work with.
I don't want to keep pressing the same button to get the same result. I get bored that way. But my strategy is to make sometimes irrational decisions about my career or my life that on the surface might seem 180 degrees from what I should be doing. But ultimately, I find I learn more from those decisions than I would from just doing the same thing again and again. I don't want to do that.
I think once people have decided what you are, once they've labelled you with a great big stamp here, then that's it. You have no freedom, and you're constantly being told what you are. I like the ability just to be what I like, whether it's, I think I have a pretty ambiguous image. People aren't quite sure whether I'm a nice guy or a devil. And I think that, it's freedom for me. I don't want to be known that well.
Is there any chance that the police will reform?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm still very good friends with Andy Summers and Stewart Copeland. But, we started as a group in 1977, and we achieved everything we wanted to. And 10 times we achieved what we set out to do. So we've sort of done it, really. My motto is you can't step in the same river twice.
I don't think there's going to be a police reunion. I have to be honest with you. I think my motto is you can't step in the same river 2 times, We achieved everything we set out to do and more. So I don't think there's any need to be, rejoining, except for nostalgia's sake. We're not really thinking about it. We're all very involved in our separate things at the moment, and we haven't really had time to think about it. But there's no reason why there won't be another Police album. As long as we think of a new way of presenting the band and making music. It has to be new and fresh, not just to obey the old successful formula. That would be boring.
2 days after the legal ceremony, their marriage was blessed in the church, and the wedding reception that followed became the scene of a spontaneous police reunion.
Miles came over and said, "Come on, Andy Stewart here, let's get up." Oh, come on, it's my wedding, I don't want to do that.
All of our old friends, we're all there saying, come on, guys, come on, guys.
I had a few drinks by that time, and I was kind of happy. So I said, okay, let's go out and do Message in a Bottle, and we all sort of went up arm in arm, and everybody gathered around. It's the police, they've reformed,
So I got like some little amp, and like a guitar that was with a strap that put it down by my ankles, It's not even worth talking about.
For the first time in over 6 years, Sting, Stewart Copeland, and Andy Summers shared a stage and made music together. It was just like old times.
And within 4 bars, I was scowling at Stewart, speeding up a little bit. Andy's guitar was out of tune. I was scowling at him, and he'd forgotten the riff a little bit. And we were back.
Right back to all those places, all those little pressure points were right there. But at least in our state that we were in at that time, we were able to laugh over it.
It was like putting on an old suit, But everybody loved it, and, I'm glad we did it. But we haven't played together since, for some reason.
Why not? I think it's a question we've really been dealing with for many years now.
The Police has always been my favorite music experience. It's a no-brainer for me. The part that I have no comprehension of is what made Sting decide that this is the hour, this is the day, this is the moment.
I'm always of the belief that surprise is everything in this business.
What would really surprise people, would even surprise me, is if I reformed the Police. And so it was.
Even right now, it still feels slightly unreal.
I didn't believe it until Sting emails the set list. I'm looking at all these songs. That is the moment when I started running around my studio hollering.
What is important is that we always were a bit of unfinished business.
That's going to be fucking cover of Modern Drummer magazine is going to be fucking devoted to that drum fill, you cunt.
It's amazing that you could play that drum fill in 9 beats.
Right? Uh-huh.
It's fantastic.
Just because you get lost, just because it's a little confusing for the fucking bass playing element. Okay?
It's going so well, too.
It was amazing when we got back here in this room how, where's that jugular? Ah!
Can I tell you something, Andrew?
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too, Sting.
But
You know, if you sing unison with somebody, the best way of getting in unison is to watch their mouth.
All right, I'm not looking at you.
I know you're not. When we're on stage, you're going to see that. But as we're together like this, it's a good opportunity to actually start singing together.
I was actually singing in tune.
You were singing in tune, but you weren't singing with me.
We're making that effort to communicate in a way that will hold us together so we can get through these very rough time of refashioning our musical bond.
See, if we can get through this, it's much better than paying a shrink, $400 an hour in New York.
Do you feel like your friendship or your relationship with Sting specifically, how has that changed in recent years? Obviously, like, you're getting a lot of questions of, are you guys going to reunite again? Are you going to make more music, et cetera, et cetera? You're never say never kind of guy. But specifically with Sting, because in the film, you do talk about it like, well, Sting's not a team player. Your memoir is very explicit.
Yeah, well, that was all the truth of what was going on, and the rest is history. We stopped at the absolute peak, and that was really because of his, lusts for a solo career, which he did, to the shock of the world, and to his own success with it, and all the rest of it. It's all out there. But I think the real truth is that we were all in this amazing band, and that none of us, no matter what we do, are ever going to really transcend that fact. It's just like the Beatles. You're never going to get past that. And when you talk to the media, that's usually the first thing they go to. It's very difficult to get past. So I think the only thing you can do is embrace it, The truth behind all the obvious stuff that they let is actually we're very caring about one another. And we care about what we did. It's not all like, well, it was a load of crap and forget it, it wasn't,
Are you and Sting and Andy on a text chain?
Absolutely.
You are.
We send each other dumb Instagram clips.
That's great. Do you ever
The part that is true is that we get along really great as long as we're not in the band.
Right. Well, do you ever talk about saying, you know what, let's go do the Sphere for a week, or let's do 10 dates? Others do, but you don't ever?
No.
Really?
The Police is like a Prada suit made out of barbed wire. It's really cool. We're all very proud of it. But man, we just don't fit together so well.
Even with that understanding, you don't think you could say, you know what, you guys, look, here are the 4 things we fight about the most. Yeah. I drum too loud, you whatever.
We did the reunion tour, and it was mind-boggling. The response from the audience, the rehearsals were very tough.
Right. How long ago was that?
Oh gosh, 15 years ago.
Right, right, yeah.
And we got, during the tour, we're thinking, how come everybody's having the best tour possible, but 2 of us are just angry all the time?
Really?
And so we got band.
You and Sting?
Yeah, and we got band therapy. And got it all said. Really, when I said this, you thought I meant that.
Right.
When you were doing
good.
That.
So it worked, band therapy.
Yeah, and so we got along.
How many sessions did you do?
Couple.
Okay.
But then that didn't solve the problem of World War III going over his left shoulder. And there is still, Sting is quiet and deep. I'm noisy and shallow.
Okay.
We are not birds of a feather. We love each other for what we brought into each other's lives, and he actually is a really good hang. But we make music for different reasons.
Was there ever any sexual tension between you and Sting?
Of course, all the time.
Yes. That's what drove your...
That's what it was all about.
Will they or won't they?
You heard it here first.
Yes, I thought so.